So welcome to the very first episode of Chapters of Life with Ntila. A very long-awaited episode because I've overthought it in many months. I had plans and plans decided to do their own plans, but I'm super excited that today I'm finally posting my very first episode. You might be wondering what inspired the name Chapters of Life with Ntila. For a very long time, I've been thinking about my own life. I've been thinking about people and I've tried to understand organizations, individuals, and all that stuff. And one thing which I've seen to be very consistent, every individual is like a book written differently. They have their own taste, they have their own special sauce, they have their own uniqueness. There is an art and there is a science which makes a person. Two people may come together, all with the same background, doing the same stuff, went to the same school, but you find everyone has their own uniqueness. And just like a book, I believe people and organizations have different chapters which make them. So on this podcast, you'll be seeing and hearing from people, from organizations as they continue to share different chapters of their life. I am super excited that after all the planning, my very first episode is on a chapter which is very special and dear to me. It is one job that I received at the very early stage of my life when I was a young girl. I received the gift of being a mom. So if you know me, you'll know so many stories about me depending on where we met, at what time, and in what incidents. But one thing which is always consistent is that I have a gift of being a mother. And today being a Mother's Day, I think it is just special that my first episode also got to be dropped on this day. First and foremost, I want to celebrate all the mothers. I'm celebrating myself, my friends, and my sisters, and everyone who has gotten a gift of being a mom. It's a beautiful experience. Being able to bring a life or raise a life, it is just something super amazing. So I'm celebrating all mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. However, for this episode, I am celebrating a very special chapter of motherhood. As I said, we are like books and life is such. So motherhood comes in different forms and types. There are biological mothers, there are mothers who adopted kids, there are mothers who are left to take care of, and so many other types. I'm sure I haven't seen it all, I haven't explored, but those are some that I know. But there's a very special, unique group I want to talk about today and to celebrate today. And there is a reason why this particular group matters and why I am inspired to do this episode. So the group which I may be resonating with the most today, it is a special group of mothers. And let me give you a backstory. A few weeks ago, a friend reached out with a text. As always, we do say hi to each other, and she sent me a text. And on that text, she just sent an emoji. Hi, Caro, I hope you're doing well. By the way, emoji, an ant with a big tummy. And I'll be reaching out to you for Motherhood DIY. She's an artistic person. She's full of life and always bubbly. So at first I didn't really understand what is this Motherhood DIY, and also I didn't understand what that insect in the text meant. So I read that text message like first time, second time, and third time, and then it clicked in my head that my friend was letting me know that she was expecting a baby. And out of curiosity, I called her, especially factoring in the last part, Motherhood DIY. I called her just to ask and find out, what does mothering DIY mean? And she reminded me, actually, it's a very famous phrase, do it yourself. So when she told me that, I had two emotions running at the same time. The very first emotion is I was sad. I felt very sad because I have been on a journey of being a mother, doing it yourself for quite some time. And my journey started super early. I was very young when I became a mom. And by then, the road was less traveled. I felt alone. I felt lost. So a wave of sad emotion came back. It reminded me of my journey. And somehow, I don't know why, I just smiled. I was like, I like motherhood DIY than the current label of being a single mom. On the other side, I had a very happy emotion. And the happy emotion was really inspired by the fact that this friend felt safe, confident, and she felt free to reach out to someone who has had that experience. And for me, that meant that the road that I traveled alone is the road that my friend will have someone working with her as she's experiencing her first experience of being a mother. But so it happens with the current situations and with life and how life lives, she's going to be doing it alone. So she's on the journey at the very first beginning, first few months of experiencing motherhood, but she knows ahead of her, she has to DIY, do it yourself, meaning that she's going to become a single mom. So after just coming over that wave of emotion, I was like, she's not the only one going through that. And I was happy that she had me to reach out to. And I thought, for this Mother's Day, let me call out friends who have had this journey, who have experienced single motherhood, and get to learn from them the tips, the wisdom, the tools that they use, the experience navigating everything that has to do with that chapter of being a single mom or motherhood DIY, and use that message to send it out to other mothers, other single mothers, hoping that someone will find an inspiration, someone will find a tip, someone may find a tool or some wisdom which can make their journey much more meaningful, much more bearable, and a journey that will strengthen them and not break them, because it is not the easiest journey. And so one of the experience which I think hurts most of the single moms or mothers who are DIYing is being labeled. We live in a society which puts so many labels to people who have had journeys, who have had experiences which, quote unquote, don't really fit the perspectives and the guide rails and the direction that the society sort of gives you. Becoming a single mom, everybody has their own story. And I think what is really important as a single mom or a mother doing it yourself is embrace your own story, embrace your own truth. Make peace with it. If it is a story which requires you to find healing, heal. If it is a story which requires you to forgive yourself and forgive others, please do. Yeah, so second thing, surround yourself with positive environments, be it people, books, reading, therapy. For me, my go-to place, my positivity and my source of positivity is my faith. For I know He has a plan for me, declares the Lord. Because one thing that I know for sure that comes with these labels or being a single mom, depending the situation, no matter which situation, we still live in a society which does not really embrace that. We live in a society which is pointing fingers. We live in a society which is judging. So the best thing you can do to yourself is surround yourself with positive people and positive talk. And when I say surround yourself with this, I think oftentimes we really think about external things which can bring that positivity. but there's a harder work of working with your internal things. My experience as a young mother, I think the external voices were loud, but the internal voices were louder. My own shame, my own questioning, asking myself, how did I get here, is what was hurting me the most than even what the external people are saying. So after you have embraced your own truth, just surround yourself with positive messaging, surround yourself with what gives you peace, surround yourself with the right communities and people who may understand your journey. That's where you can learn. And this is what is inspiring this conversation, hoping that someone who is listening to this know that you're not the first, know you're not alone. So the third thing, which I found so useful with myself, is practicing self-compassion. Because you're already a mother doing it yourself. There's so many demands of motherhood. There's so many demands career-wise. There's so many demands in your society or in your community. At the same time, one of the biggest burdens that comes with being a single mom is the financial burden. You want potentially your children to have the best that they can, but at that given time you can't. For instance, myself, I'm not exactly a playful mom. So sometimes you feel like my child is missing a person to play with, because every single time I sit down and I have to work and I have to think about all these other things. And I wish it could have been different. I wish it would have been like this and this. I think the message here is practice self-compassion. Know that you're doing the best that you can given the situation that you have been given. We all know parenting requires a village. So when there's no even team player to help you build that village, it is not the easiest. And when it comes with labels, which the external is telling you and the internal is battling with you, it can really be hard. Extend grace to yourself. It is okay. Make sure you're okay, you're safe. Make sure your mind is at its best in whichever form and fashion that you may find useful for yourself. But the most important thing is you are trying your level best. So extend grace to yourself. And so on behalf of my special friend who inspired me to actually do this episode today, who is just at the beginning of her journey, here are some of the tips that different friends and ladies who are working on this journey shared with me, tips which they found useful and helpful as they're navigating their parenting journey. First and foremost, really, you need to build a strong support system. I don't know what that means. There's no single way to call what a support system looks like. It depends on situations and it depends on where you are. If you're living potentially in the same town with your relatives, siblings, and parents and all that, bring all those people into your life. Sometimes support systems look like having a teenager who is growing up and you're a single mom. And support system would look like a good male friend or a man who can talk to him about his personal journey of becoming a teenager. As a woman, you can't do it all, so sometimes you need to find help. And if you have a son and they're going through their own changes, you've never been a man, please do seek support. And that comes in all levels, not only when you have a teenager, when you have a young one, there are people who are willing to help. It is not wrong to reach out. Actually, it is a blessing to allow others to bless you with your own journey. Another important tip, which comes from one of the biggest challenges that single parents, single mothers DIYs are facing, is just prioritizing things. Basically, your hands are always full. Most of the time, the moment you become a single parent, also you need to provide, means like you need to get a job or you need to find something that can help you meet the needs for yourself and your child. You need to show up in every little thing and you're only one person. Sometimes You may have to say no. Sometimes you may need to drop off some things and prioritize your self-care. And self-care, sometimes it's a cliche and it's an overrated word. But one thing which I know for sure, if you're not doing well, you will not be able to raise your children well. So you can stretch yourself all you want, but know if you're not doing well, if your well-being is not solid, if your well-being is not well taken care of, you will not also do well. And what happens when you are unstable, when you're tired, when you're irritated, most likely you may just transfer all this bad energy to your child as well. So figure out, what does self-care mean and work in your own setting and in your own situation, and make sure that you prioritize your rest, you prioritize your mental health, you prioritize all things which can nourish you and that can enable you to continue the journey. It's a long one. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So you need to pause, you need to take water, you need to sip on a bit of a glucose before you continue. So make sure that you prioritize that. And I think one of the most important is something which really transformed my own journey is practicing gratitude. I think on the days when you're in your low and when things are not making sense, it is very easy to lose just the biggest sight of the gift that you have in your own hand. It may look like a sudden thing that came to stretch me even further than I was able to sort of manage my already complicated and stretched life. But if you practice gratitude, which comes with the joy of what children bring, I think children are these gifts which keep on giving. So practicing gratitude helps you just to see parts of your life which are working, helps you to take away your thoughts from negative thoughts to more positive, because it is said that a human being cannot be complaining and grumpy at the same time, be in an attitude and in a space of being grateful. So just be grateful for the journey. It is what it is. And if you were trusted with a child, it means that you have the capability, because God's will will never take you anywhere that His grace will not cover you. So as we celebrate Mother's Day today, let us honor all the single mothers and mothers who are doing it themselves. Please don't judge, extend grace and kindness to them. I celebrate their strength and their resilience, their courage, their love, and ability to do this work alone. And they should remember that you are not alone. Reach out to people, reach out to friends, reach out to family, so that you don't have to do this journey completely alone. Yeah, to all the viewers and listeners of Chapters of Life with Ntila, thank you so much for staying with me on this very first episode. They say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And it's so exciting that this first step for me, it's a day that I'm also celebrating myself as a mother and also celebrating other mothers, especially single mothers and mothers who are doing it themselves. Be sure to check out for other episodes which will be dropped in the very same platform that you watched this. Thank you for staying with me, and happy Mother's Day to you and yours. Thank you.